I am Juniper Gujral, and since this is my first time around in this conference, I'll go ahead and do a quick introduction about myself. I am a product manager with TomTom. I look after NDS products. I am fairly new to this space compared to a lot of seasoned experts out here. I've been with TomTom for about 2 years, and before that, I was the big tech space with Microsoft and Salesforce. And I'm a computer software engineer by profession, by education, and I did my MBA from Oxford. I'm based out of London, so anytime you guys are over across in the other part of the continent, do give me a shout out. Okay. And before I start my presentation, I actually want to start with some gratitude and thank all the people out here, especially all the people who've been working day and night back in our offices in TomTom. And I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm just here to represent what has happened, the years of effort that have gone into putting these things together. So thank you so much for all your hard work. Okay. So I'm excited I'm excited to share the developments in TomTom over the last more than few years actually now, especially around how TomTom has been enhancing and reinventing its map pipelines, map production, access, as well as delivery. TomTom as a company needs no introduction. We've been in this space for over 3 decades, and we are continuously reinventing and innovating ourselves every time there's a new change and a new challenge. Yes, and we don't just produce a map. That's a big difference. We produce specialized map for all sorts of customers for different use cases, and the most challenging use cases out there. Okay, let me take a step back. And this audience has been very biased. We've been talking about automotive, we've been talking about ADAS functions, higher level of automation functions, and so on. So it has been very automotive heavy. So let me put on a customer or a consumer's hat for a moment and talk about what our landscape or our target markets for geolocation look like. And this is what our user researchers came up with in the last few years. Who matter to us? First is, of course, the developers. They bear the brunt of all the integrations, all the hard work, all the day and night of trying to figure out how to make sense of one data, convert it into another format, use it in a certain function. So developers are a core market for us. We care about enterprise customers. Enterprise customers are your delivery companies, your ride-hailing companies, fleet and logistics companies, those who've got massive needs for geolocation data, but are not largely talked about because it is not, let's say, within their, as a part of their business model, but it is definitely a key driver for their success. And then automotive companies. Of course, that's an audience we are most familiar with. Needs of the automotive customers. We talk about it day and night because they're arguably the most demanding customers. So we went ahead and figured out, what do these 3 segments care about? What are the key differences in their demands? And what are the key highlights? The first one is developers. Developers care about collaboration. They care about developing in community. They care about innovating at scale. They care about being at the cutting edge of development, building functions which are not yet even thought of. So that's what these developers actually care about. Then we talk about enterprise businesses. You talk about ride-hailing and food delivery companies. For them, having a good, solid navigation foundation is a key driver for their success, key driver for bringing down their costs. So what do they care about? They care about fresh data. They care about detailed content. And then automotive, like I said, the most demanding of all. They care about reliable access to data. They care about high quality data. They care about standardization, about consistency, about safety, about drivers' comfort, and you name it. So there are these varied sets of market segments that we look into who have these different needs. So how do we as a company address these needs, and how do we simplify our production process so that we can tackle these different segments and yet give them what they exactly want? And guess what? The answer is NDS.Live. How are we using NDS.Live as a unifying mechanism to meet and exceed all these customer expectations, from quality to building cloud-native applications and services, data freshness, content richness, configurability, consistency, standardization, and you name it. Basically, everything you've been hearing about the whole day. So this is why we are also using NDS.Live. But what is different about it? How are we actually using NDS Live? How does it tie into the whole TomTom ecosystem? The answer is a three-step approach. I'll first go into a bit about content creation and updates, and this is critical to our NDS Live strategy because without this piece, we would not have been able to adopt NDS Live the way we do. Second is about data delivery services and SDK, and this is where NDS Live plays a key role. And the third and the most important aspect is evaluation. We believe proof is in the pudding. So until and unless you really taste the pudding, you will not know what you've made. So that is what a key ingredient to building those trusted relationships with our happy customers. That smiley in the end, those are our customers. So this is a three-step approach, and I'll dive into this a bit deeper in the next 10 odd minutes. So step one, cutting-edge collaborative content creation strategy. So at TomTom, we say, it takes a world to map a world. Hence, collaboration is the key to develop that content at that pace, which reflects reality. Yes, I'm pretty sure all of you have heard of this by now, or most of you have heard of this by now, the Orbis maps. For the last few years, we have made major strides in engineering the first real-time map on Earth, a global map, not a small part, not a small city, not a small state. We are talking about a global Orbis map. And we have made major efforts into this, put major efforts into this. And as of last month, or maybe before that, we are live in countries across the globe. So that is a major feat TomTom has achieved in the last few years. And I know it sounds like I'm going over this again and again, and we have been going over this because this is no small feat, and this is still a work in progress. But how did we get to this point? How did we make this map even a reality? So step one was again collaboration. We partnered with the biggest tech players in the industry. We partnered with Microsoft, with Meta, and AWS to form what we call the Overture Foundation. The Overture Foundation has the mission of building an open map specification and also an open stable reference map, all built on the basis of giving that interoperable map for the most challenging use cases in various industries, not just automotive, enterprise, you name it. So any kind of mapping challenge should be handled or tackled with this, using this as your base map or your reference map. On top of it, we still go ahead and add a lot of value-added content. We take in a lot of OSM content, and that's where we get that global coverage from. We are not limiting ourselves to focusing on a few geographies. We have a global reach. So we use various types of sources. We have this real-time map, these real-time layers of different different grades, building all baked into the OSM schema, which make it still reusable with the open source tools that our customers already have. So that's how we've gone about inventing the Orbis maps and the Orbis maps platform. Okay, enough about Orbis. But what does that mean for NDS.Live? Orbis is one big, giant mechanism. It serves, like I said, all sorts of market segments. Now we really had to filter it down, pick out the relevant layers for customers who want and expect NDS.Live, who want who want a runtime application, who want a map for a runtime application. And that's where NDS.Live came to our help. We converted those layers into what we call an NDS.Live map, which is runtime ready. So NDS.Live actually helps make Orbis runtime ready. And guess what? Delivery. It is not just about adhering to the NDS.Live specification. It is not just about compilation. Although compilation is very, very tedious. We've all seen it throughout the day. But there is also a huge delivery infrastructure that runs behind making those tiles, making those compiled NDS.Live data available to millions of devices at scale. And this is where we turned into a futuristic specification into a futuristic product, what we call unified map delivery. And all the architectural gaps that we've been talking about, or all the known unknowns within the NDS.Live specifications have been addressed as a part of the unified map delivery as a product. It's not just a specification anymore. And we use the power and specification of NDS.Live data services to bring in all the content that you need. We believe our customers should care about the content and not really about integrating a dozen different delivery mechanisms. In fact, we as TomTom in the past have been guilty of giving 5 different mechanisms for 5 different types of data, which frankly is not a good customer experience to have. And now we are moving away from that experience and allowing our customers the flexibility to have single endpoint integration for all their needs. And that is what is unified map delivery all about. So we take the Orbis SD layers, the HD layers, we take private content. We've heard about it. Customers, OEMs, they have their specific needs. Not everyone requires the same type of data. How do we ensure that data goes through the same endpoint and yet is only visible to that particular customer? So private data delivery. ODD delivery, operational design domain management, is becoming a huge area of concern for a lot of higher level autonomous functions. Dynamic delivery, and even live delivery. The slight difference, we internally look at it. Dynamic is where you're looking at an update frequency of about a week. So you're looking at maybe roadworks, road closures, slightly longer running events. And live is your traffic events, traffic flow, which have to be out there in seconds. So all types of content, imagine, available through a single endpoint, which will serve all your needs. That is what is unified map delivery. Okay, now let's talk about some highlights and some of those key aspects which turn this vision into an actual product. What are we actually working with over here? So first is, or these are principles, and these are also what are baked into our product and are being continuously worked upon. The first one is low integration costs. All of us have been talking about bringing SD and HD layers together. Crosslink came up, MD, XD, all sorts of layers came up. Bottom line, we need a good solution. We need a solution where we don't have to worry about, oh, this is my navigation system, and I have to worry about this specific type of road level and layer and attributes. And this is my ADAS system, and this is my lane level data, and these are my attributes. I want to be able to use them seamlessly together. And this, in part, is also possible with our Orbis strategy. We have a very strong strategy with regards to our HD and ADAS content in Orbis. I'll not go into the details of that right over here, but that really helps us bring all of this together in a single compiled style, reducing the integration costs, reducing the overhead for platform level integrations. The second is ease of customization. Not everyone wants the same data. Not everyone wants the same tile or the same layers. It has to be very flexible, tailored to the specific customer, specific platform, specific model on the platform. All of that customization will be baked into unified map delivery. You can pick and choose which layers you want. You can have versions of layers. You can have different types of layers. You will have the tile that you need, so you have complete control over those connectivity builds. The third one, integrated updates. Incremental updates, sorry. Again, like I said, this is partly possible because of our Orbis map strategy, where our integrated AI processes do automatic feedback, resolution, detection, and resolution, and pass that over to our production and delivery processes, making the whole pipeline end-to-end incremental. Always up to date. With 4 billion plus eyes on the global map, we are able to keep our production processes, map production up to date. And at the same time, we are able to compile that data real time and deliver it. Our aim at TomTom is to reduce the reality to map time. That is a metric we live by. And how do we reduce that reality to map time, that update frequency we've been talking about? How do we get that change from a person in the car, driving in the car, to the next car within a matter of minutes? That's what we are dealing with over here. So the whole pipeline has to be incremental, and that's what we feel is the only way to break that barrier of weeks and days and get to minutes. So we compile at a micro level, compile at a data layer and a tile level, and not just compile the whole world or a city or a continent every time. The next is low latency. TomTom has a track record of serving millions of cars globally. We have 660 million vehicles and devices connected to our services right now. We rely on the same infrastructure to deliver NDS.Live data. And cloud functionality, it was just mentioned, the same NDS.Live services are interoperable and are usable behind the scenes by OEMs in their backends if they so desire. Okay, so we've spoken about a map, we've spoken about the delivery services, but how does all of this fit together how do we even know these work, or how do we even know this is ready for customers to use? So this is where we talk about drinking our own champagne, and where unified map delivery has been integrated with our location platform. And just to remind you all, if you've missed that news somewhere in your feed, the TomTom's location platform has been ranked as #1 in the world. So it is not just any platform out there. It's a platform that customers trust and live by. Now, unified map delivery, basically NDS.Live data services, have started powering that same location platform. And we have not just adhered to the status quo. It's not just about ripping out the previous NDS Classic and NDS Classic streamed tiles and adding in NDS.Live tiles. We have also reinvented a whole new mode of connectivity in that location platform, solving a lot of those caching challenges in NDS.Live that a few of you were talking about earlier. And this is what we call the online first mode in navigation SDK. So the whole idea, or the whole motivation behind online first, was to blur the line between online, offline, hybrid, connected, non-connected, and just focus on giving an end user experience which is seamless, irrespective of the time, location, or connectivity. And how do we do that? How do we actually make this happen? And by the way, this is also what we call internally the elastic map. So in case you hear about it, it's elastic map or online first experience is the same thing. It's basically the whole concept of making sure that irrespective of your connectivity status, you get that same end user experience. So we have 3 types of connectivity. We of course have our online services, which give us absolute fresh data, real-time data. We have cache or a map cache, which is built on NDS.Live tiles, which is also cached while you're connected, but it continues to operate for momentary drops of connectivity. When we say momentary, it can be configured, of course, and this is a highly smart and configurable cache. I'll go into the details in a bit. And the third, no black spots, no dark spots. Irrespective of where you are, how you are, automotive customers expect a reliable map access for your basic navigation requirements. And that's where we have second fallback of a fully onboard map, which is currently an NDS Classic map. And this is where we need to see how we can probably reduce the in-memory consumption and go towards having a single map on board. But that's part of evolution. So all these functions that you see are working in an online mode, on a cache mode, and then an onboard mode. The end result is consumers, the drivers, the users see no difference. And that is why it was so hard for us to demonstrate this, because in reality, if you're actually using Elastic Map, you're using an online first mode of connectivity, you will see no change in your experience. So I can show an icon, a connectivity icon show up and go down, but nothing changes. And that's the beauty of this whole exercise. Talking a bit more about the online first cache, of course, like I said, it's a very smart cache. It's a highly configurable cache because it is a part of the SDK, and every platform has different requirements. So you can cache or proactively cache. You can create a persistent cache on the basis of your current location, route, destination, radius around a vehicle, corridor along a route, and so on. So all the caching mechanisms that you can think of have been baked into it. And then Elastic Map ensures, and this is critical, that the road network connectivity on the cache stays consistent. As you can imagine, all these different tiles are getting updated at different times. So you still need to ensure, even if it is an NDS.Live cache, and all the NDS.Live tiles are independent, all of us know that, how do these tiles still work together? Still work together despite the fact that your OTA, over the air cost for updates, should be minimum. I can always update the whole cache every single time I turn on ignition or every single time I take a new route, but that's not the aim. How do we make sure that we balance the user experience with cost and make sure the user's journey remains uninterrupted? And in case of extended loss of connectivity, graceful fallback to our beloved NDS Classic map. So you're never stranded no matter what. Step 3, and according to me, the most important step, evaluation. All of this does not work if we have not tested it. And I'm not talking about testing it on a small application, doing a POC, running a few numbers, doing a simulation. It is about real life testing, testing in production, testing with millions of vehicles and devices out there. And yes, we are doing that. And I'll get to that in a bit. So the two key aspects of evaluation that we follow at TomTom. First is end user experience, the focus on end user experience. We don't want to talk about the size of a compiled tile or the publication time or a small little compilation time or a window of or a cache size. We want to talk about end user experiences because that is what real life drivers actually observe. How do we tie those end user experiences into our entire pipeline is a challenge we have to tackle. These end user experiences can be measured through navigation metrics, POI metrics, addressing metrics. And then how do we tie it into the quality of our map, into the quality of our processes, into the quality of our delivery processes is a challenge we tackle. And the second part is automation. You can never operate at scale. You can never operate incrementally if you're not automated. So through built-in telemetry modules, through built-in AI-based resolution and feedback, we tackle a lot of this feedback in an automated manner so that only the most challenging places or cases are where we get involved. And this is what our strategy for the online first experience that we've been talking about looks like. And this is, if you look at it, it is an end-to-end strategy. It covers a lot of aspects, but bear with me, I'll walk you through this diagram in a bit. So if you follow the heart of the triangle, the heart of all of this is actual testing in production grade applications. The two applications out there that we use are Amigo. Amigo, for all of you who don't know, is our consumer grade application, mobile application, which is available for all the Apple and Android users. You can go ahead and download Amigo. And currently we have about 500 million users, 500 million users using Amigo on ground. So that is our first test bed. And of course, we don't just blatantly roll out, we use a phased rollout and testing with our Amigo application. So that is phase one. And second application that we test on is automotive UI. Automotive UI is what goes into the vehicles. Now, mind you, the same location platform, the same navigation SDK that we were just talking about powers both these applications. So we do not differentiate between our enterprise customers and automotive customers. They both deserve the best. They both deserve the best technology we can produce. We, of course, do phase testing. The first one is more generic. It gets rolled out to large consumers on a daily basis. The second one is more controlled. We go and deal with individual customers, their specific systems, integrate, do rounds of quarterly testing to make sure that the application is production ready before it goes live in the vehicles. Second one is more rigorous, but that happens once we do the first phase. So that is the heart of a test strategy. That is testing in actual production applications and not just leaving it at small individual simulated tests. So the three mechanisms that we deploy for testing are, of course, drive tests. As you can see, that's in the middle. We actually physically drive the system to see what the issues are. The second one is KPI monitoring. And here we are not just talking about the KPIs that we observe in the vehicle. We are also talking about monitoring and then simulating KPIs, extrapolating them for a usage of over a year, for usage of across the continent, to try and get those extreme use cases, project outwards and see what those builds, OTA builds will look like, the user experience will look like, the degradation will look like. So we rely on those baseline numbers for monitoring and tracking from real drive tests, and also automate and simulate run models to figure out what our overall application performance of the application will be in a sustained manner. And the third is, of course, A/B testing. With any application, you have to test different scenarios. In case of online, we've simulated different combinations of connectivity across highway, urban areas, across junctions to try and see how these various modes of connectivity operate and what the user experiences. Do we break at any point? So those are the three mechanisms we deploy. And what are we trying to achieve in all of this? This is what these three red circles are about. The first one, like I said, most important, user experience. We cannot shy from the fact that if this user experience does not work, no one's going to get your application. The second is, how does that translate into the type of prefetching or caching that you want to do based on the user experience? For instance, you can be a fleet and logistics customer, typically who want a more robust map available, who want a larger prefetched or cached area available, and they're okay to maybe have a slightly stale user experience, or maybe Or some other customers, some other enterprise customers, they don't care about what the prefetching size, what the cache size, because they're probably using it on a mobile or a web application. They care about very fresh map data. So that balance between user experience and what the prefetching or caching strategy looks like. And that, of course, determines your data consumption. And with your data consumption, of course, your user experience. All those three are in balance. And what we get out of all of this testing are good combinations which suit different customer requirements. So you can choose a combination of the user experience, the cost you want to incur, and the configuration you will have on board to tailor a certain type of tailor a certain type of platform you're building. So that's how all our end-to-end evaluation works out. And where are we in all of this? What are we doing? Is this all just vision? Where are we? That's the big question. To answer to that question, we have pretty much done most of it. Or we are at least in the process of doing a lot of the elements which are, let's say, for instance, for the dynamic and live data that I was just talking about, those are elements we are still integrating, but most of it is already there. We have already tested it in Amigo in an alpha stage. And now, soon enough, very soon, we'll also be doing a phased rollout of Amigo, of the production application with 500 million users in different geographies over the next few months. And this is where we'll actually see what the on-ground test at scale with NDS.Live in a consumer application looks like. And this is the feedback we want to channel back towards the consortium, towards NDS.Live, help and evolve NDS.Live as a standard because, well, we are all in. So with that, I conclude my talk. Welcome to a new standard in Orbis map making, NDS.Live delivery, and end user evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sumitra. Well, any questions here in the room?
So direct career, I didn't get it properly about this end user testing. Do you have the testing community of the dedicated testers?
No, that's what alpha testing was about. So we basically use our own organization as the alpha testers. So everyone pretty much in the organization was an alpha tester. We had our own, so you could of course download a specific build or a specific version of the application and test it around. So that was our phase 1 of testing. And now we are going into beta phase very, very, very soon. In fact, next time probably you'll open your Amigo applications, you'll see an NDS.Live toggle and make sure you hit that button to see how NDS.Live works in Amigo.
It will be the beta test? Or...
Beta phased rollout. We want to do let's say, a cautious rollout to make sure that we are testing it in every geography before we scale it out globally.
And the user are aware they're the testers or?
It's opt-in.
Ah, okay.
Yes, so you have to hit the toggle to try it out.
Okay, good. Thanks.
We are sure and we turn it on for all.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, no more question. Then thanks again. Very lively presentation. No, wait. No.
Yeah, just one question.
Can you make? Yeah.
I'll use this. Thank you.
It's related to the slide where you presented so how you use certain layers of data in online mode, in caching, and on board. On board, I assume that's kind of pre-installing. And there was a live data.
Yes.
And live data, it stated that you are caching live data and you are even using live data in for onboard. I mean, kind of pre-installing or so. What is the use case for using live data even in caching?
Oh wait. So when you talk about live data, are you talking about traffic, travel information sort of data, or are you talking about? Well,
Live.
for us, all map data is also live because we are going at an incremental cadence of map updates. So everything is live for us.
Right. Okay. So this.
So caching that map data is, of course,
okay.
Advantageous.
Clear. Thank you.
Certainly.
My voice is so loud. For the online. Yeah, in the online they can't hear me. Otherwise, it would not be a problem. Very lively presentation. Enjoyed it a lot. One question, because you said, okay, you're going a really fast incremental update. Whenever something changes in the real world, you want to get it into the car or into your consumer apps as fast as possible. Now, talking about NDS.Live, are you using the Delta update mechanism within smart layers, or are you replacing tiles?
That is a very good question, and that is something we are considering. Delta updates, and I'll not go into all the technical challenges we are seeing with Delta updates right now. That's something that's a feedback for, I think, the working groups later. So we are still in the discovery or the POC phase with Delta updates because we are not getting the advantages we hoped we'd get with Delta updates till proven otherwise. So right now it is still a layer tile update, not a tile update, layer tile update. That's the most efficient. But we are also doing several server-side optimizations, which actually allow you to stitch the tiles, which everyone has been talking about, much more efficiently with much lower load on the client. So that's something we can talk about later if you want.
Thanks for sharing experience.
Anyone else? If not, thank you.
Yeah, thanks again.